Okay, so in this video series, I'm going to continue with explanation of the Standard 12 CBSE syllabus, along with the book which I have written. It's more like notes as well as books, right? And it's also a website. But if you do not have, if you do not have internet, you could just get the PDF copy from here. If you click on this one, you can get the PDF copy of this book or notes, right? So the printed version could be in here, and you can then save as PDF in here, and it will generate a preview for you how it prints out. And this is the whole document that can be printed out. It's not many pages, just like 63 pages in here, and it's pretty short. It's pretty short, and I haven't gone into like no full explanations or something because this is just for average students, not for excelling students. This is just for average students, and I just written this one kind of notes and everything. So you could get it from this domain in here, and once you get this from here, once you get this from here, so you do, you remember that this is the protocol of this website address should be in a secure protocol. So this will be like HTTPS, which is like hypertext transfer protocol, and then there will be a secure socket layer in this one. So S stands for secure socket layer, and then you have this domain computer science grade 12 for cbse.sh, right? So this is the entire book in here, and this is according to the 2025-2026 syllabus, and we will cover this one. So the first thing which you have to know in this is that the syllabus of this book is divided into three main units. One is the computational thinking and programming, which is like 40 marks for CBSE. This deepens your understanding of the Python and covering the functions, exception handling, file handling, text, binary, CSV, as well as data structures like stacks. Okay. Next thing is that there is computer networks as well. Computer networks has around like 10 marks only, but it is one of the easiest chapter to complete for standard 12 students, right? So introduction, evolution of networking, communication terminologies, transmission media, networking devices, topologies, and basic web services are in here, right? So these topics are in here. Transmission media, network devices, topologies are very easy, and it could be done in a very, very short amount of time. If more content is required for this kind of like if more images are required in this unit, then I will add it again in this book, right? So this is kind of a living document of sorts. Based on the scenarios, if something is required more, then I will add it. But in most of the cases, there shouldn't be any more additions than what it is there because according to the CBSE syllabus, this is the only thing which is required. After that, if you want to learn something extra, then I could make more videos regarding this one, and we can continue it from there. So there is one thing I have focused in this book website or notes is that it focuses through the competency-based learning in this one, right? So the core focus of the book is to prepare you for the competency-based questions, and which represents a significant portion of the CBSE board examinations, right? So for this, I have done is I have refer to the old CBSE papers, the old 5 years CBSE papers, and then from there I have analyzed and understood how the questions are made, and then after each unit there is two sets of two sets of your competency-based questions after each unit or after every chapter, right? And this book also has this, uh, you could change the pages from here as well as you could see the topics from here as well. Okay, you can see the topics from here as well as you could change the color of this pages from here. So it will be light, rust, cool, navy, or IU, right? So all these colors are there. So you could choose that. So we will go with what? We will go with navy for now. Okay, we will go with navy for now, and we will continue with this one, right? We will continue with this one. So now the thing is, when we look into this, if you continue with this, the unit, the third unit is the database management. Okay, so the third unit is the database management, and it covers the database concepts such as the relational database models, structured query language, and how to connect with Python application and SQL database. Right. So this I have missed while explaining that. Right. Maybe I have skipped it. So that is that is for 20 marks. It is easy to learn, and it is easy to do the practicals of this one as well. However, when you get discussions in, in your examination, it might seem a little bit hard. Either you will falter in your theory, or either you will falter in your um, practicals. So in one of those cases, you will falter in that. So it has 20 marks, and like when you look into this one, is that when you falter in either the theory or the practicals, you have to be aware that how the language is structured, because it is a structured query language. SQL is a structured query language, and you have to follow that structure only. Okay. Now let's move on to the next page. Right. So, one more thing you have to remember is that although my internet is slow, but this website is pretty fast, so you can access it pretty fast. You could also like get a print of this book in a PDF copy if you want, because that will be easier for you if you are doing everything offline, right? So now next is the revision of Python topics, and this is from grade 11 or class 11, however you want to call it. So the first thing is welcome to Unit 1. Before we dive into the new concept of class 12, it is essential to have a solid grasp of foundational Python programming concepts you have learned in class 11. This chapter provides a quick refresher on the core components of the Python. So like this is which is I've written is like you know basically a sh some of the concepts of class 11, which is required in this in grade 12, right? Some of the concepts are there in this one. So we will start with the point 1.1, which is the Python basics. So in here, I have written that Python is a high-level interpreted interactive object-oriented scripting language. It uses indentation to define blocks of code instead of curly braces. So this is I'm making a clear distinction in this one is that Python is specifically uses indentation to define blocks instead of curly braces, right? And Python is a high-level interpreted interactive object-oriented language. So it is a high-level language, so it doesn't work on low level, so you cannot make operating systems out of it. It is interpreted as well, and so you do not have to, compile it to run it. Interactive as well, so it has an interactive mode. Python interpreter has an interactive mode in it, and it also it works on the principles of REPL, which is a read, evaluate, print loop. And then you have the object-oriented scripting language as well, so Python can be compiled as well afterwards. Right. So now when we talk about the variables and data types, so when we talk about variables and data types, a variable is a location in memory used to store data. So that is a variable in here. In Python, you do not need to explicitly declare a data type of the variable. Unlike other languages, such as specifically the compiled low-level languages, when we talk about those languages usually require, those languages usually require your Mm, uh, type, you have to define the type of the variables you are making. So you have to define the data types beforehand, before you are defining the variables. Okay, so that is required. But in Python, you do not have to do that. You do not have to explicitly declare the data type of the variable in this language. Okay. So variables, what are variables? So this is a few short examples of what are variables. So these are the variables in here. So variable is like age is equal to 17. This is the integer age, and then the mark is like 95.5, which is a floating point data type. And then you have the name, which is Alice, and this is a string data type. And is student, if this person is student, then yes, this is a student, and this is the Boolean value, right? So this is the short example which I have given in here. Right. So some of you may not remember what are types of data and how many types of data are there. So we will just first do this, this practical, and then we will continue from there. Right. So we will continue from there. Let's see what to do in this one. Okay. So we have this, and let's go to documents and go to let's say class and click class practicals. We make this, and we will go to this one, cd class 12 practicals. So we have made a folder or a directory called class 12 practicals. I will teach you how to use this terminal because it will be required later on to make projects. So for now, let's continue with let's continue with just doing the practicals right now. So mkdir starts for make directory, and from the make directory we made this folders, and then we change directory to this folder again, and now we are in this folder or the directory, right? So that is where we are now. Now when we talk about practicals, I have given one of the practicals in here, and this is what A17 integer and marks is 95.5. So this is something we will do a similar kind of stuff we will do. So for making let me clear this up. So for making this practical, we have to use an editor. So for this editor, I'm going to use Vim. You may use other editors as well. Let's use other editor. Let's see if I have ideally installed or not. Let's see. Is ideally installed? No, it's not installed. So um, we can also utilize, text. Okay, let me just install ideally, right? Let me just install ideally. What's the harm in that? What's the harm in that? Let me go to super user and let me install ideally. Okay. So this is how you install ideally in a Ubuntu based system such as this one. This is a Debian. This is the core system which is Debian, and based on this Ubuntu is there. So you could install, you know, you could install your packages from here and softwares from here. So that is what it's trying to do. It is trying to collect, ideally in this system. And the plus point of the system is that it is free. So you do not have to pay for this operating system. And of course, you also have some responsibility because you do not pay for this operating system, as in that you have to take care of the security yourself. So suppose if you're talking about some commercial operating systems, those kind of operating systems usually they secure your computer because you have paid for that. So they provide that service. Right. So let's move on. And since it is taking time to install, let's do one thing. I will utilize Vim editor because it is very resource friendly. So I will utilize Vim editor, and I will just say I will name this practical as the data types uh, dot py. Let's start with this one. Okay. Maybe the installation is taking too much competition. My computer is not that fast. That is one thing. Okay. While it opens up, we will move on to while it installs and opens, we'll move on to understanding how many types of core data types are there. So the first one is your numbers. Okay. The first one is your numbers. So when we talk about numbers are basically integers, floating point numbers, and complex numbers, right? These are the types of numbers we get in Python, right? So integers are there, floating point numbers are there, and complex numbers are there. When you talk about integers, it is like both negative to positive, and when you talk about floating point numbers, it is basically number which is fractional and it has a floating point, which is this one, right? And then we have the complex numbers. Complex numbers are the same complex numbers which you find in mathematics. So there is an imaginary part and there is a real part, and that is the addition of, and addition of that is the complex number, right? So that is the complex number. Now, when we talk about strings, strings are basically a sequence of characters enclosed in single or double quotes, and they are immutable. So strings cannot be changed once it is created. So if you want to change certain characters in a string, you have to recreate the string again, referring to the previous string, right? So that is what is the meaning of immutability, right? Now, next is your list. So when you talk about list, these are ordered mutable collection of items enclosed in square bracket. So those are lists. So if you remember your grade, if you're class 11, then lists are what? Lists are basically your ordered mutable collection of items, and in that we can change the mutability of those elements. So like the data type is the data type is mutable, so we can change the individual elements in that collection of ordered collection of list. So that is your list. Now, when we talk about tuples and ordered tuples, and it is also like a list. So it is an ordered immutable collection of items enclosed in parentheses. So that is what your tuple is. So simply to put that in perspective, a list is something in which you can change the elements in it. And when you talk about tuples, you cannot change elements in it once it is created. So the difference we identify is through these brackets. So if you have a square bracket, then it is a list. And if you have a simple parenthesis, then we have a tuple, right? And some people used to call it like the first bracket, third bracket, or second bracket. The proper name of this is the square bracket, and this one is the parenthesis. And the curly braces are also there, but we are not going into right now. It comes into the next topic, which is the dictionary, right? So now we come to dictionaries. When we come to dictionaries, it is sorry, not ordered. It is an unordered mutable collection of key value pairs enclosed in curly braces. So these are the curly braces, and it is enclosed in it, right? The keys must be unique and immutable. So when we talk about keys, the dictionaries are basically a set of key value pairs, and these are unique and immutable. Okay, so keys are unique and immutable, but the values in those keys are mutable. So that is what we have to remember, that keys are unique and immutable, but the values itself are mutable, right? And then we have the Boolean value, which only has two literals in it. Sorry, we have the Boolean data type, which has two values existing in it. So the Boolean value which we have in here, it will be either true or it will be either false, right? So that is the only two of the things which will be there in that one. And then there is one of the special data type, which is none, which represents the absence of value. So that is what the none represents, right? Now, when we talk about immutable and immutable data type, I have discussed this before also, but let's rewind again. Is that when you talk about mutability, mutability is your mutability and immutability. When you consider this, you only need to consider that something is mutable or immutable on the context of whether they are collective with data types or not, right? So if they are collective data types, then you have to consider that whether they are mutable or immutable. If they are not collective data types, then the part is that if it is non-collective data type, then send person, you could be sure that it is immutable. It cannot be changed. Right. So when we talk about mutability, there are three types of collective data types which is mutable. One is a list, then it's the dictionaries, and then it's the set. Right. So lists we know that yes, list is your mutable data type. Dictionaries, you may be confused in before because I've explained that the key are unique and immutable. However, your the values are mutable. So keys are immutable and values are mutable. So that is what I'm trying to say in here. So when you talk about keys are immutable and values are immutable, right? So when you talk about this, uh, dictionaries dictionaries, the keys are not mutable, so they are immutable. But when you talk about the values of dictionaries, which aligns with that key, that is mutable. Okay, that type of thing is mutable. And when we talk about when we talk about um, we have something immutability in this one as well, which is the index numbers. Index numbers are immutable in this one. However, the elements in those particular index numbers are mutable. And then we have sets, which is mutable, and these don't have any kind of index numbers. And they also start with curly braces. Right. Now the next thing is your immutable data types. When you talk about immutable data types, these are basically your integers, floats, strings, tuples, and booleans. So these are your typical immutable, you know, immutable data types, right? And we have to also understand that immutability and mutability are on the data types of the Python, right? And when you talk about data types, they are actually what? They are your properties of literals. Okay, they are your properties of literals. Okay, so now let's see if it is installed or not. Yes, this is installed. Right, this is installed. And this is also open. So if both are done, maybe let's use ideally itself. People are comfortable with ideally, so let's use that. You could customize your ideally based on what you see, right? So let's see if you can customize it or not. Windows there, options, zoom height, shell, all these things are there, right? And if you want to refer to some in-depth, so there is Python documentation as well. You could look into those things, right? So okay. So this is the Python documentation. This is your online documentation in here, but in other operating system you may get it offline as well, right? So this one is an online documentation. I would suggest that after you have studied Python, do use this Python documentation to search on things, because when you talk about language references, nobody can remember every feature of that language. We just know the basics or till advanced level, and after that, only the Python documentation will help regarding what to look into and what not to look into, right? You could also try to look into NCRT, but NCRT will not be for practical project purposes. NCRT will not help you, and also that the NCRT is not really updated that frequently. The book NCRT books are not updated that frequently, so you may face difficulties in you may face some difficulties in following through, because sometimes what happens when you read the book and you try to do the practicals, then what happens is you basically uh, are not able to uh, see that how that concept works, because it doesn't work in practicals or works differently in practicals. So NCRT books are a bit at least 1 or 2 years they are a bit lagging behind in updation of the books. So if NCRT doesn't work, then yes, so you have your Python documentation which you can look into, and this will provide you the most recent, the current, and the most accurate information in Python, right? So that is what you have to know. Okay, so that is what you have to know. Now next is we were trying to do the practicals, right? Practicals. Let's go to the practicals. So if we were trying to go to the practicals, we have this practical, right? So I'm going to take this example. I'm not going to do the same practical in this, but you can actually copy this one and like paste it in your IDLE or something if you want. But I would suggest to type it out so that if you type it out, there will be some practice of typing as well. And because you lose the practice of typing, and in either severe cases, you even lose the practice of writing if you do not write. So that happens, and unless until you get some injury or something, you won't lose it fully. However, if let's say you have stopped writing for a long time, then yes, you can lose the ability to write properly as well. Not like fully forget it, but like maybe the handwriting will be difficult to understand. Same thing is in typing, you will do more mistakes in typing if you are not practicing typing or typing code, and you will do more typographical mistakes while writing. So keep those in practice. Okay. So the you know these were, so we are doing these four things, right? So let's do these four things. So we will, this is your interactive mode. So if you do the interactive mode, so 2 plus 3, if you put it 2 plus 3, then you have what, 5 in here. So this is the interactive mode. It is very easy. If you want to learn, if you want to run one-liner code, then yes, this is one of the best place to do that, to understand. And so you have to consider that. Now, when you talk about, when you talk about how to use this ideally, so this is the interactive mode, obviously. These are the interactive modes. And when these are the interactive modes, you have to like, you can switch to script mode by going to this file menu in here and creating a new file in here. Now, be sure to save this file. So after opening the file, you will click on Save As, and then you will select one of your folders. So obviously, this folder will be in your documents, right? And I was making this in this folder, right? Where I was making in where I was making. Okay, let's maximize this one and let's see where I was making. Okay, local setup now. Test folder projects. Um, Let me see the terminal. Where was the path again? Class 12 practicals. Okay. So it is in class 12 practicals, right? So class 12 practicals C, this one, okay, in here. So once you open your folder, whatever your folder is, typically if it is a school computer, then you will name it as your name, and you will name like so. If suppose the name is like uh, let's say the name is Anshuman, so Anshuman's practicals it will be there. Or let's say the name is your Anamika, so Anamika's practicals, Anamika's Python practicals. That could be there, right? So yeah, you could have these kind of names in this one, right? Now let's once you have made your folder, once you have made this folder with your name in your school, computer or any public computer, then you can continue with there. Also, I would suggest that you should categorize your projects based on what you are doing. So the best is like always and always, keep your computer organized. So that is the basic IT stuff. So keep your computers organized, right? Now, the thing is, next we have to do is your practical. So this practical is your what? This practical is for variables and data types. So you will name the files as same as variables and data types. And see, in here we have this files of type, right? So in here we have the py file types, the text file types, and all files types. So by default you will only select this Python file types. Okay, so you will, by default, you will only select this one, and this will automatically create your .py extension. You do not have to manually put the py extension. You will now save it, right? Now once you have saved it, So once you have saved it, so now what you have to do is basically what you have to do now. Right. So you have to define your what we were doing in here. Yeah, okay. So you have to make ages, marks, name, and a student. These things we have to do. Right. So these things we have to do. So let's do this. Let's do this. So I already told you, like you have to write your work codes, because if you don't write your code, you may even forget and forget like how what are the things in the coding that you have learned. So you have to type your code to learn itself, and also you have to write any notes which you get while you're doing this, video series. Because if you do not write, you will forget, right? So that is what you have to understand in this one, right? And I will try to be focused while making this videos, because where I'm recording this in here, it is very distractful, and a lot of things are there. There is noise cancellation, but yes, I will try to be focused in this creation of this video and this video tutorial or video class, whatever you want to call it, right? So let's go with that. Variables. So in here, the first line is the first line is your comment. So comments in here are colored as red. In some other systems, it may be colored as blue. But remember that when you talk about comments, if it is in red, then that is typically not a fully comment. If you give a space, then yes, it is a proper comment. So in here it is red. In some other systems, it will be blue or some other color. Remember that the comment always starts with a pound sign. When you talk about pound signs, these are the pound signs, or the newer generations call it hash, right? Because they have learned hashtags from Twitter now, which is X, right? So in here, we will just do the variable, which is age is equal to 17 is there, right? The age is 17 in here. And again, these are one-line comments, right? These are one-line comments. So if you're talking about one-line comments, what is there is that you could put one-line comments in any line, right? So you could put one-line comments in any line. So you put in hash in here, and let's say if you put integer. So if I'm explaining integer in here, like I have done in this one. So it is saying that this data type is an integer, right? And I can also like put in, if I want to, let's say in future I want to explicitly define some variable that it is an integer data type, then I will utilize int in here, right? That is what I will utilize, right? So before that, there will be int. I will go into that later on if it is required. Now when we talk about marks is in floating point. So marks is there, and it is in floating point. So 95.5 is your marks for Alice in this one, right? And again, we can put the comment in here and write down as float. Uh, Better to write it floating point, right? As I've written in here, float. You could also say, but accurately it will be floating point numbers, right? And the keyword for this is float, right? So if I want to explicitly define the data type of this variable, then I will use the float. Then I will use the float keyword, right? And then we have the name is in here. Then we have the name, and in name we have something called Alice. In here I've given an example of Alice, and then we have your student. So when you talk about this one, when you talk about this, the name Alice, when you talk about this, it is basically what it is a string. So I've already explained that string is what? String is your immutable data type. So if you want to like even change the strings with your, if you even want to like change the strings in let's say if you want to change the strings and do some modification in the strings, then what will happen is that you have to reconstruct the string again. So you cannot change the characters of each of the strings in the existing string only. So that is what it means as immutable, right? And then which we have is student is there, right? The student is there. This is a Boolean value, of course. This is a Boolean value. So when you talk about Boolean values, it is what? Boolean are either true or false, and so that is what the Boolean value is. Right. So that is the practical in here. And now how you have to run it. To run it, there is the run option in here, and then you have to click on the run module in here. This is like function 5 key, right? So F5 means function 5 that it runs. So now it runs, right? So of course, you will not get any output in here. You will not get any output in here. Why you will not get any output in here is because we haven't printed any of these variables. We have just assigned the variables, and just we know that there is no output in here. So obviously we assume that these are assigned. These values are assigned, and the program runs successfully, right? So the program runs successfully, and yeah, the program runs successfully. So, but there is no output in this one, right? So that is there. Right. Now the next thing is what? The next thing is this. We have discussed these things. We will come to operators and expressions afterwards. So in here, I have completed Python 1.1 and the introduction of Python basics, right? I should drink some water, and I have been recording for how long now? 36 minutes. I've been recording for 36 minutes, right? So I've been recording for 36 minutes. I think it is enough for right now.